This is Callum Diggs, international best-selling author and career strategist as seen in Fast Company and Inc. magazine. I get a lot of questions. People say, I want to be a freelancer. I want to be a solopreneur. Isn't it the same thing? The reality is, it's not. And in this video, I want to talk about the differences between a freelancer and a solopreneur. So let's look at a freelancer. A freelancer is typically someone who offers a service in return for a one-time payment, maybe a contract as well. So they could be a freelance writer, they can be a freelance video producer, they can have skills that they can freelance in animation, coding, graphic design, but typically they either work on a contract basis or it's a one-off and where they do one job and they're done. Might be sporadic, they may do a few more in the future. Now, if we look at a solopreneur is basically a one-man business. Solopreneurs typically, they'll have a website and they'll monetize it, usually with banner ads that's also affiliate links. Or they may have a podcast and where they use the opportunity to be able to attract sponsors and to use that to monetize their podcast. Or they can have a popular YouTube channel. And what they'll do is they'll create a certain amount of videos about a specific topic and then attract sponsors that has an audience that will be interested in their niche. So whether it's a podcaster, whether it's a YouTube host, whether it's an author, a blogger, the main differences between a solopreneur and a freelancer is a solopreneur is more of a business person. They're a one-man business. So for example, we take a person's podcast, okay? Let's say they have 1,000 podcast episodes. And let's say throughout all of the podcast episodes, they have a sponsor. Usually it's a sponsor that their audience has some interest in. Now, if that podcaster, let's say, will take a break, maybe take the summer off, take a year off, maybe take 2 years off, chances are that podcaster is still going to continue to generate revenue even after they stop podcasting, because now with all of those spots in those podcast episodes, they have created a trail of potential passive income. Same thing for a YouTuber. A YouTube host may have sponsors as well. They may have affiliate links as a blogger would. But again, if this content is evergreen, then people will always refer to it years afterwards. And when we say evergreen, we mean things that will always be relevant. Like for example, the elections is usually a 2 to 4 year cycle, so that's not evergreen. Or like the holidays, that's usually once a year, depending on which holiday. They're all once a year, but that's not evergreen. So what you want to do as a solopreneur is you want to create evergreen content, whether you're a blogger, whether you're an author, whether you're a podcaster, whether you're a YouTube host, and you eventually come to a point in where you can stop creating YouTube videos or creating podcast episodes or stop writing blogs, and that income will continue to come in months and years after you stopped or after you consistently stopped. Now, a freelancer is typically someone that may be under a contract. So let's say a freelance video producer, or let's say a freelance blogger for a company. They may be under a contract and where maybe for a year they agree on terms and they may fulfill those things throughout a year. They know how much they're going to get paid, but basically they're getting paid piece by piece by piece. So if they stop working, then they stop making money. The money stops coming in. So they have to continue to work in order to make that money. Now, when we look at the both, solopreneur is more of a businessman, while a freelancer is more of a free roaming employee. Now, with new freelancers, ones that are beginning, they typically don't have a lot of clout. So they're not in a position where they don't have the leverage to really make the calls, or I want to get paid this amount of money and these are my terms and this is how it is and take it or leave it. Well, for freelancer who doesn't have a portfolio that speaks volumes, well, it's going to be very hard for them. So typically a freelancer has to be very flexible and has to really start from the bottom and work their way up, just like an employee in corporate America. So it's not typically no right or wrong way. It's more so what you feel comfortable in being. Does a freelancer path make sense for you? Or does the path of solopreneur more sensible for you? What do you think? Maybe you don't have the patience as a solopreneur. Maybe you don't have the patience to be a solopreneur, and where you're creating all this content and you're not really seeing no return. Some people, they may see it quicker than other people. It may take a long time. But that's kind of the give or take with the solopreneur. As opposed to the freelancer, you may get a contract, but you might not be making the money that you want to make. You might not be liking the type of work that you're doing. You're just taking a contract, or you're just taking these assignments because it's money coming in. Something to think about. This is Callan Diggs, international best-selling author of Reaching the Finish Line, career strategist as seen in Fast Company and Inc. magazine. Be sure to go to reachingthefinishline.com, subscribe to my newsletter to get all the exclusives. And until next time, thank you for watching.